Live. Hey, Queenie.
Hey, Doc, how are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Fantastic. It's nice to see that everything is up and running again. And we're so excited for that piece. And it is wonderful to be with our faithful friends on purpose. I love it. You don't look like you're in your regular office.
No, I am in town in Gardner at the local coffee shop. It's called Groundhouse.
Cool.
So I was actually, when you get on Facebook later, you'll see we did a little Facebook Live trying out my new phone.
Awesome.
So, our faithful friend on purpose, Michelle Cruz, Granny Boss.
The birthday girl. I remember.
Yes.
Yeah, her birthday is the same day as your wedding anniversary. I remember that from last week.
Yes.
How cool is that?
So, yeah. So we're just hanging out. How's everything on your side of town?
Well, it's wonderful. We've been having rain, of course, and the game last night that we're not going to talk about, there was tons of rain during that event as well. So Chiefs game, for those of you who are not local to Kansas City. And so that was definitely a big deluge, actually super surprising. We needed the rain for sure, but slow and steady would have been perhaps a little better as far as the game. Oh my gosh. Oh
yeah,
my
we
gosh.
shut it off when there was there was a delay, rain delay or weather delay. And saw that they lost this morning, which, being a armchair quarterback myself, it didn't look good. I was telling Patrick everything to do.
Yeah. Was he
still
listening?
lost? No, he didn't
was
listen.
Not listening. That's not good. Okay, yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, in our true Doc and Queenie fashion, I wanted to share with you, today is International Day of the Girl Child. So happy International Day of the Girl Child to you, Dr. Laura. And I know this is going to warm the cockles of your heart because it's also National Sausage Pizza Day. So being from Chicago, I bet you love sausage pizza, right?
Chicago sausage, yes. Or in Italian, salsiccia. So if you're Italian out there, it's salsiccia is the word. So
wow.
Manja. Yep.
Oh my gosh, it sounds like a little tutorial from Jasper right now.
Yeah, my Italian is very limited. My grandfather was first generation here.
Wow.
In the United States, but he chose to speak mainly English, and we only got, growing up, just little words here and there. So, buonanotte is good night, salsiccia is sausage, and manja is eat. That's about it.
Wow, buonanotte. That's nice. Yeah, Spanish.
And I don't even know if I'm.
And buenas noches and things like that. So it's so cool to see how the languages are super, super close. You can get by with a lot of it, and in my case, just enough to be dangerous. So I always have to be careful. I attend one of our Hispanic entrepreneur groups every week, almost every week. And sometimes they decide to do the whole event in Spanish, and other days they mix it up a little, and other days it's English only. So it has upped my game just a bit. So, but I still have to be very careful because I remember just enough to get myself in some major trouble.
Well, when I was in the Caribbean, we were on the island of Martinique, and that's French. And it was, it's French is a romantic language, just like Spanish is. And I took Spanish, and I was looking at the words like, oh, chicken was the same. And there were a few other words, and then of course I was trying to pronounce them, and they were all, the wrong pronunciation, but I sort of knew. Yeah.
You were paying attention. Hello. Yeah.
No.
Another day today is Native American Day. Now that is
cool.
I just thought it was totally cool. And one of the ladies in one of my networks is a Native American skincare girl, is how she has branded herself. Cool. And I think that is the coolest thing ever. Of course, she's beautiful. She has a glorious business with one of the skincare companies out there. And she literally uses her brand, Your Native American Skincare Girl. And not only is she severely like, oh my gosh, proud of her heritage, but she wants other people to know that can help them as far as Native American skin. So I said to her, do you hashtag your tribe? And she said, what? And she told me the name of her tribe. And she said, no. And I said, so if you hashtagged your tribe and other people in your same tribe or either other Native Americans would find you that way, and you would definitely then be able to market yourself to your own tribe. She just thought that was the coolest thing ever. So now that I see all of her posts, what do you suppose is there? Hashtag her tribe. And I just thought it's one of those kind of things we want to be found as. And then you think about, well, what are you doing to let people find you as? And just like with you, Dr. Laura, I know that you do hashtag naturopath, hashtag naturopathy, hashtag gardenary. You do all of your hashtags specific to your post. And I think the reach that you have gotten is ginormous.
Well, and likewise, Queenie, and remember, it was probably a couple of months ago, we thought we would just check out our hashtags for Doc and Queenie. Remember that? And Doc and Queenie popped up all over the place because we hashtag Doc and Queenie. Yeah. Networking, friendship, connection. And it was, but like you say, it's all, you have to hashtag it, and you hashtag it all over the place. Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, etc. So yeah, very cool. Very cool.
It's so fun to have people find you that way. And when people, and I know this has happened for you with your Instagram account also, people that you would never have connected to otherwise.
Yes.
I love that. Yeah, I seriously do. I love that. All right. What else day is it?
Well, it's also Columbus Day, by the way. It's a national holiday.
Good job, for real. Yes. Absolutely.
And I know this one, growing up by Chicago, growing up in Illinois, it's General Pulaski Day. General Pulaski was a general in the American Revolution that was killed in Savannah, Georgia, by the British, but he was Polish. And in Chicago, there's a very large Polish community. And I don't know if they're doing it now, but they usually have a parade and everything for General Pulaski. There's a street named after him in Chicago. I'm sure there's other areas in the country, but I kind of remember that because it was a big deal. I'm not Polish, but
yeah, that seriously, that is a big deal. I love things like that. I seriously do. And wouldn't it be cool? Well, who knows what's going to happen tomorrow kind of thing, but wouldn't it be cool to go back to the parades? I remember one of the first things that was canceled with the COVID lockdown shutdown thing back in March of 2020 was the St. Patrick's Day parades. Those were one of the first things that were actually not happening. You can't do it. Don't go out. No. And of course, I'm always thinking in terms of all of the time commitment. You get your float ready to go, not to mention the expenditures involved in that topic. And then all of a sudden, just because of the pandemic, it is canceled and you may not be in public with that many people. And so you had parades for General Pulaski. And I look back at all of those things that we had growing up, and it's just not the same now. I mean, seriously, not at all. I did notice last night at the Chiefs game, however, it looked like not only was the stadium massively full, but everybody was just engaged and having such a blast, at least first half.
Yeah. Before the rain. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We'll go there.
Oh, yeah. And like we've talked about pretty consistently, it's the punt and pivot. Everything looks different. And the people that have survived per se, or are still in business or still doing their thing, have pivoted and adjusted or shifted to what's going on. There might be some businesses out there that you can't go virtual, but majority of us are.
Absolutely.
And that has worked out, I think, in my experience.
What would you say to someone who would say to you, my business has suffered because of the pandemic?
It's perspective. What's the positive? Yes, it may have suffered, but what did you learn because of it? Maybe, you know, like I can only use myself as an example, but I mean, I branched out more into social media, the Instagram we always talk about. I branched out into that. I started podcasting. I started working on my own website. You know, that's me. There's always, regardless of something quote unquote bad happening, there's always a lesson in that. There's always good that comes out of a bad. At least that's my approach. I mean, why stay stuck in the bad or the negative? Is there a reason
Absolutely.
why?
Yeah. And what I think about when people say things like, my business is down, or I can't this, or I can't that, or my chamber closed, or whatever that looks like, my BNI group doesn't meet in person, whatever those things are. And I always say, first of all, you apparently were reliant on those locations to do your business for you. And that is never a good fit for me. My business responds to my activity. And so I always would say, if people say my business is down or my something, or COVID killed it, or whatever that is, and I understand the challenges, I promise that part. And I'm super sorry for the businesses, especially storefronts, that have their numbers are down, maybe because of that piece. Other businesses, because of the punt and pivot, went skyrocketing to new levels because people were shopping online. People were doing things online. People were training online and coaching online and networking online. And it just turns out to be perspective, like you say, Doc, is the biggest thing I can imagine. And look what Zoom has done. We talked about this a little bit last week. Let's see how this looks with you in the coffee shop. But we talked a little bit about this last week. And honestly, you think in terms of what Zoom has done for people to rid themselves of Zoom fatigue, okay? You get yourself in a different place emotionally, as well as even this with the boardroom piece, or the whatever that looks like. I mean, seriously, you think about now you're going to be able to talk in a conference room. And even though it may seem, what would you call it, trivial or minutia, or I'm not here to play games, I'm here to learn something. I promise I get that. But if you can keep your teams engaged with something that Zoom offers on their platform for free, by the way, it's the coolest thing ever to be able to have an opportunity. We'll even think of this one. This is one of my favorites when I'm doing a one-on-one, because it changes everything. It's a fireside chat.
Oh, there I am.
Yeah, there you am. It is literally a fireside chat opportunity. And even when you're talking to the person across the globe, you have this platform right here that allows people to literally liven up their calls a little bit. And I just think it has been a genius thing that Zoom has done to keep updating, and making things more fun, so these screens don't turn out to be so mundane. And it just adds a little bit of zap. And I think they have definitely punted and pivoted.
Yes, well, and the only thing I'm noticing, obviously, is because I don't have a green screen behind me, I'm just square.
Oh.
I think it's really.
I don't know. My green screen actually is not turned on, so I don't know if that has to do with it.
Huh.
Or unless, are you on a phone or a computer?
I'm on a computer.
Okay. Yeah, I don't
know.
That depends on, actually.
But it looks very cool, though. It looks like you're just sitting there getting ready to fix a meal.
Well, we know that's not going to happen. So that is an interesting little challenge right there. But I seriously think about what you could in a classroom with kids. You know, that's another thing I think about. What is that going to look like differently, that the kids would now be a little more engaged because the host only can do it? And isn't that
a little scary there?
Yeah.
That's kind of scary. I think I'm now a ghost, maybe. I'm not sure.
I hope you're not a ghost. I definitely hope you're not a ghost. But those are the things I think about when they have offered some of these options And just like in your business, you changed your options. Because I remember when you first did your garden boxes, and then you were noticing that some people that had really cool porches wanted to have the smaller boxes. I think that was just genius. I mean, seriously, that was genius.
Well, but, you know, business ebbs and flows. You have to offer what's, you know, what people need. Right? I mean, that's kind of my take on it. Yeah, I mean, we do garden boxes, raised beds of all sizes, and now we're doing planters. And actually, I'm going to be trying to build some birdhouses too, because I love the birds in but we're gonna try that too. I mean, I have a new little hobby, and it's called woodworking.
Well, honestly,
So,
from the pictures that you have shown us, and especially how gorgeous your website is, I can see that that's going to be another huge hit.
so yeah, well, I'm excited. I'm excited. You know, we use the best quality products, and you know, in the Kansas City metro, it's local, so not many people are doing what we're doing, and
Oh, I think that is awesome.
you
I
know,
really do.
so we're having fun helping people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same. It's the same with you with the water. It's educating people. It's networking. It's getting to know people. So, and it's helping and serving. So that's what it's all about.
Yes, and it seriously is the helping and serving piece. When you were talking earlier that you'd already had several appointments this morning, I think it is back to that same thing. If business is down, what have you done to punt and pivot? And then what do you do to maintain, follow up, execute some of the things that you just learned how to accomplish? And when I see these kind of things, you've already had appointments. I just think that is the deal. And I know how you feel about Monday. And so, especially, I'm sure that was like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy it's Monday. But you already had your appointments. I know. You already had your appointments set up. And I just think that is awesome.
Yes. Oh no, it's Monday. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, honestly, I can't wait to see what the week brings.
Now, you know, to kind of answer that or add to what you just said, it's consistency, regardless of whether you're busy or not. I think it's consistency. I think that's success. You know, you hear those phrases that say success is a person that's successful gets up after a failure. I don't use that verbiage. It's a punt and pivot. It's something that it's a learning lesson, and just keep going. And how do you keep it going? You know, our culture now is big on social media. So it's making posts. I actually posted this morning in between appointments on LinkedIn, you know, just to kind of keep it in front of, because right now we're busy with consultations. We're not growing anything, but we're talking about people about their plans for the garden, and we can still look at their yard and all of that kind of stuff and still talk it out and still design it out and plan for next spring, because mid-February to March, everything picks up and gets busy and insanely busy.
I remember this March and February when you started this part of your business. It was like, when's the next time we're going to see Doc? I don't know, but I've got 37 minutes carved out on Doc and Queenie Day, and that's all I get.
Doc doesn't even know. Yeah. Well, we immediately was 6 to 8 weeks out. So yeah, I mean, we can still, as long as the weather is fairly mild, we can still build the garden boxes. I mean, you know, there's still that, but get the plans in and let's talk about it. You know, I mean, that's what we've been doing. So as prices rise and all of that, people are now more focusing on growing their own food. And that's where we come in to help, whatever level, you know, but it's that punt and pivot, consistency, keep on going, you know, I mean, you're very consistent with educating people about water and networking and HNP.
I was actually blown away. One of the conversations that I had in one of my other groups last week, they were talking about, can you believe how much bottled water has gone up in price? This is crazy. And of course, I'm oblivious. I didn't know that. And so, but you know what the problem was? It was the shipping cost. It was the
Shipping is going to affect everything.
Absolutely.
Everything.
And I said, well, I'm able to save people a lot of money by not having to go fetch water or have it delivered, or certainly cases of bottled water. So I didn't know that piece, but I already knew I could save them money. I didn't even think about the shipping stuff that was affecting everybody adversely. So that was a big deal too.
Yeah. Well, in the water, we not only drink it, we clean with it, we do our laundry with it. I mean, there's so many, we clean our vegetables with it, you know, stuff, produce that comes from the store. I mean, there's all of these other things. We've saved a ton of money on just laundry detergent because we're cleaning with water. And people are like, ooh, no, it's cleaning our clothes. There's no smell.
Yeah.
Clothes are soft. And I've saved, I'm trying to think, I probably bought detergent, and of course I buy a natural form of detergent, so it's a little more expensive than Tide. It's about $25 a bottle every other, at least once a month. So I'm saving at least $25 a month.
Wow. And that's just on detergent.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't actually know those numbers, that's how much you were spending.
You know, and I've got a family of 5. We do 10 to 15 loads of laundry a week. So I know you're like,
Oh my gosh, that really does sound like explosive to my brain, because mine is 1 to 2 loads a week ever. And
like,
that's so funny to me. Yeah, it's just a matter of how large is your household. Oh, that is funny. But I guess I would think a family of 5, of course you do 15 loads a week. My goodness. So to be able to save that kind of money is pretty awesome. That I never thought of that.
Well, and one thing with people that are, one thing I do, and I don't know if you do this, Queenie, but with the social media piece, like right now, I do a lot of quote unquote experimenting to see what works, what doesn't. And I watch the numbers. And right now, my favorite, of course, is Instagram Reels. Remember, I've talked about it. I started with a piece of lettuce and had 1,000 people view it. I'm up to almost 3,000 now.
Oh,
and it's a 15-second video on anything. It doesn't matter if it's gardening, flowers, because I help my friends occasionally over the flower shop. And so of course I'm zooming in on the beautiful flowers, and yeah, I raking the ground, or I've got one that I'll post here in the next couple of days. It's a diffuser. I'm putting essential oils in a diffuser. But I had 2,785 the other day. People view my reel.
Oh my goodness.
It's crazy.
It is actually. Now, you know what you just said? This might be a huge lesson for many of us that do videos and things like that. We teach when we do water workshops and things like that. You can't really give someone, when we first heard about the water, we literally came home and watched a 4-hour DVD on this technology, because I was not going to make a mistake as far as spending the amount these machines cost and then regretting it. I don't do regret. And so I needed to make sure that my decision for me and certainly for my family was the right one. So I watched the DVD 4 hours, and then I watched it again to reiterate in my mind what this technology piece is about and why the value is huge. You just said 15 seconds reel got that much exposure and a piece of lettuce. How many times do we go through this intricate production? Oh my gosh, and 4 hours, 3 hours, 1 hour, 20 minutes, whatever it is, and crickets. And you have already done so great for 15 seconds. That's quite a statement, Doc.
And I'm also, another tip, and I know you do this, Queenie, I reach out to people in my quote unquote category. And I also, of course, reach out to people that are not gardening people. But I talk to garden people through Instagram. We've been communicating back and forth. I've got a lady out in England. There's another in Ireland. We have the commonality, and I'm liking their posts. I'm making, their Instagram posts. I'm liking liking their post, I'm commenting, and they comment back. You're like, wow, I mean, it's right back to what we teach, the connection piece, networking, getting to know people.
Now, that's an interesting thing. I actually hadn't thought about this till this very second. My friends in Australia are now preparing for spring planting because it is spring season there.
Yeah.
And
it's
a couple
opposite.
months ago, a couple
We're
months
going
ago,
into winter.
yes, well, we are dripping like literally 100 degrees in Kansas City. They
They're
are doing
freezing.
their videos bundled and their hats and all this stuff. And I'm just going, what's the temperature there? Will they speak Celsius? So I'm like,
So we can't convert it.
Dude, I can't even figure that out. But they were like in the 20s and 30s degrees. And here we are 100. And I'm like, OMG. And like I say, we're dripping and they're frozen. And so now, of course, that's shifting. And so that's what my Australia friends are talking about right now, is preparing for spring planting. That is a very cool thing. Actually, I didn't put those two together as far as the changing in seasons. If you're talking to people in England that do your garden business, that's just awesome. You never, ever, ever run out of connections. That's cool.
No, we all connect. That's what it's all about. I mean, like you and I have talked. I actually talked to one of our faithful friends on purpose last night. We've never met her in person. And she lives in Wisconsin. And we talked for 2 hours. So
that part does not surprise me.
Yeah, we will meet her. We're making plans. She's coming down in our direction towards Kansas City next year. And actually I was pushing it a little bit with her. She's probably watching. I was pushing it, but I'm like, hey, we're thinking about going up in your direction. Maybe we can meet somewhere, but there's several people. And so who knows? You just never know.
No, and you really don't. And being able to meet on a platform like this first, and then connect, additional Zooms, one-on-ones, things like that. And then when people are able, traveling the country a little more freely and all of those things, now we're going to literally be able to connect face to face. And I think that's super cool.
Yep. She actually asked what kind of cheese she wanted to bring, she's up in Wisconsin. What kind of cheese do you want? And
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Queenie, I answered for you. I hope that was okay. I told her you love all the sweet stuff, the chocolate stuff, and with the frosting.
Thanks a lot.
Bring that.
Yeah. I'm thinking a lot of garlic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I did tell her Queenie loves garlic. And actually, can you guess what my favorite cheese is? Speaking of cheese.
I am not a connoisseur, of course, but I'm thinking in terms of goat or feta or blue cheese, those kind of things. So I don't know.
Swiss.
Mm-hmm.
The stinkier, the better.
That is a surprise. Okay.
A surprise.
Yeah.
My second would be blue.
Yeah. I figured it had to be up there.
And that's stinky too.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's one, I don't remember the words that everybody was saying when we asked that question. Gruyere or some kind of word, and Munster and some kind of things like that. Those are foreign to me. I would know Gouda probably, certainly Swiss. I actually do like that myself. And then anything that is garlic whipped with that.
Well, how about, because I heard that you like spice. Do you like a little bit of spice, right? What about cheese with a little kick, like a horseradish or a jalapeno? Do you like that kind of cheese?
Yeah, that sounds amazing. A horseradish would just rock my world, because the hotter the better. And the only time I could possibly get prime rib down is if I had horseradish, not sauce, but whatever that fibery looking stuff is. That's
horseradish. Yeah.
Right. But I mean, it's the actual root. I can handle that to get the prime rib stuff down, because it's not my favorite as far as meat. I know.
Well, there is of course, I can't think of the name of it. I've got a picture of it. My husband and I, when we went to a winery on Friday, and there actually is a local cheese guy that we had a cheese with horseradish, and I think you would like it. It wasn't super spicy, but there was enough of a kick. If you want your sinuses cleared out, have a piece of cheese, which doesn't make sense, but it did. No, that's the only spice that I can tolerate. I can't tolerate the chilies or the jalapenos, but the horseradish, I love. Ginger is too spicy.
Yeah, you've said the ginger thing before. Now, I wouldn't have thought you could handle horseradish. That's interesting.
Well, and ginger is so good for your digestion. You would think that I'd be chewing on ginger, and I'm like, nope, kills me.
Wow. Yeah, but isn't that an interesting thing too? There's so many choices in everything. Choices in everything. What to plant, what to drink, what to eat. There's just choices everywhere. It is amazing to me how many choices, and some people do actually stay stuck because that's their comfort zone. And it really is phenomenal to me. And in your case, especially since you and your family are such foodies, if you had not experimented with some of the things that you have, your favorites would never have been discovered yet.
Correct. I'm always, as you know, I'm always willing to try something weird.
Yeah, well, not weird necessarily, just new.
Okay. New, unique.
Yeah. And people are coming up with such cool things. I mean, think about this. Tacos are a favorite for a lot of people, but if you don't want the tortilla shell thing and whatever that's filled with corn or gluten or whatever it is, and all of a sudden now they're taking these gorgeous lettuce wraps and even the same contents of the taco stuff in the lettuce and just rolling that up. And then I saw they even were putting taco inside stuff into a big pasta shell and baking that. And I saw that and I was just like, how creative is that? You know, it's still not going to happen in my cave room, but it's very cool to see these people branch out and take something that's a favorite with so many people and put a twist on it. I love stuff like that.
Yeah, oh, totally. Totally. I would say the Italians have been doing that for a while, but you know.
Yeah, apparently it cut above the rest of us. That's pretty awesome. Well, Doc, I hate to say goodbye again, but we are here. I know you're busy today at your appointment locations, and it's pretty awesome, quite frankly, my friend, that you set up shop at a coffee shop close to your home, your environment, all of that stuff, and people come to you. That really is a genius concept, actually.
Well, it's coffee shops are a great place to socialize, and just, the atmosphere is great. And this one has been our favorite. When I was in school, I used to study here all the time. And it's funny because I just walk up and they know what I want. But I mean, that is nice. That's part of the deal. It's cool. So,
yeah.
But
and one of our dear friends, Michael Mayer, actually came up with network stacking. And several years ago when I was doing a seminar with him, which was so much fun, again, the in-person memories are just spectabulous. And he was doing one of the presentations, and all of us are just up on stage doing our thing with him. And that's what he called it, is network stacking. You park yourself in a favorite location, could be a restaurant. So now you're here for brunch and coffee and lunch and dinner and all these different things. And you've got a new person coming in, you have a meeting, then they get to meet the person coming in, and this person's leaving, and you're staying, you're the central focus, and you've got this rotation going on. The servers are usually quite intrigued. In fact, one time when I was network stacking, in between a break, one of the servers came over and said, "Are you interviewing people for a job?" And I said, "No, I'm not at all. This is just networking for me." But it was a very cool thing to get to know the servers. And then every once in a while, I would give out one of my random act of kindness cards, which I would give to the barista. And then the next person to come up, not necessarily my person, the next person to come up would get the card that this is free. And then I did my tally at the end of the day of how many free whatever I had given out, which was fun. And then the whole purpose of the card was to pay it forward. And this is way before how they do it now when you're in line. I'll pay for the one behind me kind of thing. This was a literal business card looking thing. Nothing on it about me, just yours is free, random act of kindness, pay it forward. And it was so cool because I sat where I could see their face. They had no idea who did it. And the barista just kept a tally, and the person would go, "Oh my gosh, I've never gotten one of these before." And all that in-person stuff now, I just can't imagine if that's going to come back to that degree, but we'll see.
I don't know. And what's funny, I have to make the comment before we go. You talked about network stacking, staying in one spot.
Uh-huh.
Well, My version was a little different before all of this changed,
Uh-huh.
because I would time my meetings from coffee shop to coffee shop. So I'd
Oh,
leave a half
God.
an hour in between. It's a lot of work. I think this kind
Oh,
of stacking is better, just to
well,
stay.
oh my gosh,
I've learned.
well, not only the learn part, but if you went from coffee shop to coffee shop, and what happens if one is over, you go over on one and then somebody else gets there early. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this version is more efficient.
easier.
In my opinion. Now you do have to pick a central location kind of depending upon what your plans are for that day. But now when we've got coffee shops all over the city, everything's back open again, it seems like. Then it's gonna be an interesting end of the year. And since we're in the fourth quarter of the year, there are lots of changes, that's for sure.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's time, huh?
I guess so, Doc. Take us home.
If you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Thank you everyone for joining us today at Doc and Queenie Facebook Live at
Hi, Nick.
We are so glad you were able to join us either live or on the replay. We'd love to have you as a faithful friend on purpose. Just go to Facebook and you'll find our group and sign up. All we ask is that you sign up. And if you would like to check us out on Bible Trivia Night, which is Thursdays at 7 p.m. every week, we are there, or join us back here at
high noon on Mondays.
Until then, have a fantastic week. Thank you, Queenie.
Thank you, Doc. Have some more great meetings.
I will. Take care. Bye, everyone.
Bye now.